welcome back to another episode of Be Still. I'm Bedina, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about my life, about my journey. As you guys know, the last episode I spoke a little bit about my first memory, and that was when I was 3 years old. And to those of you that don't know, my first name coming from TikTok, it is Bedina. So make sure you subscribe and like this video. To those of you that are from YouTube that don't know, I am on TikTok as Shindig. So go follow me on TikTok as well. It is Shindigs. Shindigs. So I'm just going to jump into, my memories after being 3. And at first, with this, I was like, oh, I need to be scripted. I'm not going to be scripted. I'm really not going to be scripted. I'm going to touch on some things. I've just got to do it naturally. And I think that that's something that I've realized. And when I overthink it, I hesitate. So let me not procrastinate anymore. So, okay, after my mom left, it was different. It was hard. She left us with my grandmother. So with that, again, she had 4 kids. So with that, my grandmother, I don't know what the reason may be, whether she couldn't afford to take care of 4 kids. She didn't want to take care of 4 kids. I don't know. But it became clear to me that my mom was the black sheep and we weren't the favorite. So, she kind of like dispersed us. So my grandfather and his wife, at the time there were talks about us going to them, which we were kind of excited for because we loved going to our grandfather's house, which was her ex-husband. We loved going to his house. They were the ones that, had it good. So, but that never happened. We kind of like went from home to home. I remember that I went to, initially, the first place that we went to was a neighbor's house. Now, the neighbor was old. I think she was probably in her 70s, 80s. And she was a smoker, a heavy smoker. Mind you, I had really bad asthma growing up, so it was horrible. And there was like a little story of where I tried to take a pull, just being a curious kid. She had left a cigarette butt in the ashtray, and I tried to take a pull and I almost died. Oh my God. But she wasn't the nicest person. It was kind of like it came from her doing my grandmother a favor. So we stayed there for a little while. I remember we got chicken pox and things like that. Mine wasn't bad. My brother and sister were just, it was gross. They broke out everywhere. But from there, we then split up. So I went to a family friend. I don't know where my brother and sister went, but that'll come later. But I went to a friend of the family, and she had 2 sons. One was grown. The other one was around my age, and I was a girl, and I was like the daughter that she never had. And she adored me. And I loved being with her, but at the same time, I wanted my mom. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing that I wasn't going to have her back. But I loved being with her. I think I was with her for like a few months. And, she treated me like a princess. It was great. And then, but her youngest son was like a tyrant. We were cool, but he was a tyrant. So what had happened was one night, it was like the 4th of July, and we were in the basement. She had a whole finished basement, and we're on the couch or whatever, watching television. And then the next thing you know, he's like, ooh, I'm going to light this firecracker and put it under the pillow. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I was younger than him, but I was smart enough to know that wasn't the best idea. So he didn't do it at that time, but I guess curiosity killed the cat. So I was in the bed. We all went to bed, and I'm sleeping. Next thing you know, I get woken up. There's alarms going off. He still put the firecracker under the pillow of the couch and lit the house on fire. So we had to leave. The house was burnt. It wasn't too much that could be saved. So we went to stay at, I think it was horrible, y'all. I felt like it was Little House on the Prairie type of house, like a little cabin in the woods. From my memory, it was like a little cabin in the woods, and it was horrible. It was horrible. I remember there were spiders. That's the memory I have. There were spiders. The bath, it was like one of those, like, it wasn't fun. I don't think there was hot water, so she used to have to boil the hot water, and I was just kind of like, I don't like this. So she asked me, she said, well, do you want to go back to your grandmother? And I was like, yeah, but not because of her. It was because of the spiders and the bugs and things like that. And I loved her to death. It had nothing to do with her, but I couldn't do the bugs. And this was all the while she was like trying to build and rebuild the house and things like that. And so she, it hurt her. It hurt her. She took it hard. She cried because, again, I was the daughter that she never had. So she took me back to my grandmother's, and this will be the end of this episode. She took me back to my grandmother's house, and I remember she cried. She cried. She hugged me, and she cried. And she dropped me off, and she told me, she said, you will always be my daughter. And wow, like, in retrospect, it's like, I had a mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was more of that mother figure for me, and she was amazing. Her name was Miss Margaret. I'll never forget it. And so I went to my grandmother's, and I noticed that my brother and my sister wasn't there. There was only one of us left, and that was my baby sister. And like, she had her own room with this big bed. Mind you, she's a baby. And I guess she was taking a nap at the time, and she dropped me off. My grandmother looked at me, and she was like, do you want something to eat? I said, yeah. So she made me a sandwich, and I remember sitting at the table. As I'm eating, I see my grandmother go to the phone, and she's talking very quietly. But the feeling inside of me, I swear to y'all, like, intuition is everything. Intuition is everything. Always trust it. Because when I saw her whispering on the phone, I knew something was going to happen. Not to mention the fact that my other two siblings were not there. They weren't there. And she didn't tell me where they were. I don't remember if I asked her or not, but I remember that she did not tell me. So I'm going to leave it there. Just leave it at, she made a phone call. Okay? And until next episode, again, please, if you want to know more, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, y'all. Like this video. Share it if you can. If you want, I'm not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video and to listen to my story, and I can't wait to hear more of you guys as well. Make sure to comment, subscribe, and of course, always be still. Be stronger than you look.